So Laviska Shenault is interesting so far in this game. I mean, he's getting the targets, right? The targets haven't been accurate. Trevor Lawrence looks like, I mean, he looks great at some points, but most of the time his accuracy is like almost concerning to a level. Now, I like Laviska, but does he make you nervous every single week or what? Because he's making me nervous as hell right now. Like, I don't know if he's going to get a touchdown, if he's going to end up having, 100 yards by the end of this and capitalize on the targets that he's getting or what. Because this game right here, it's like the battle of just two of the most nerve-wracking slot receivers in the entire game.
Kinda, yeah. It looks like Tom, you're on mute, but yeah, absolutely. It's definitely concerning. His talent was always like kind of up and down, and Trevor Lawrence is not throwing the ball well today. I mean, he's getting pressured, so I mean, you got to give him some credit on that. But the Bishop's dropping some balls today, and it's definitely not good for his fantasy value. I mean, Miami's lost their top two corners, and he's not playing well with the backups in right now, so it's definitely a concern.
Oh man, yeah, it's the battle of ineptitude. Right, this entire game. It's
very well put.
Yeah, I didn't actively try to play anyone in this game. Like not Lawrence, not if you have Robinson, you kind of have to play him with 672,000 running backs being like dead. So you have to play him, but I didn't actively want to play anyone. Like look at Gaskin again, all the way down there in Suckville. It's
he fumbled. Is he even getting the touches anymore because of that fumble?
Well, he has the most carries. Like he has the most touches and targets, but he's not doing anything with them against Jacksonville. We'll call it jet lag maybe, but come on.
Yeah, it's brutal.
They play in these guys play in Miami. They're used to being up late and doing weird shit. It's Florida, right? That's just how it goes. Like the lag doesn't matter. You're just coming out there and laying a big old suck egg and could end up giving Jacksonville your first win, like their first win. Like this is, I don't know. That whole team is mortifying until Old Man Myers is ousted, finally.
Dude, oh, man, Jalen Waddle. This is the curious case. Do they always say, "Hey, you're only allowed to perform on the first drive," and then after that, it's just like, "Oh, yep, you're done. You're done for the rest of the day. Good job. Go sit on the bench."
But I think it's more like, all right, we don't need you to run 4-yard routes right now. So because that's all we're gonna let you do. We don't care how fast you are, how good. Those 4 and 5-yard routes, that's all you're allowed to do. So
that's all he's done all season.
Yeah, we don't need you right now. So you just fucking, I don't know, play like you're Guyton and just run routes for no reason.
Dude, it's obnoxious. All right, we do have the start or sit. I'm trying to prep and get everything set up for all of our different links. Y'all ready to kick the show off?
Let's go.
All right, let's go.
This is Fantasy Intervention. Now here to intervene with your fantasy life, Chase Vernon.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome on into, the Starter Sit Show with Fantasy Intervention. I'm Chase Vernon, your host, and I am joined by Steven, Coach Pintado. What's going on, Steven? How you doing, man?
Man, doing good, man. Glad to get back on here and do some start and sits today. It's watching my Dolphins play, so it's a good morning so far.
No, I'll take it, man. The Dolphins are looking, they're looking spotty, but for the most part, they're looking good. Oh, man. Gaskin almost dropped that catch. I'm getting distracted already as it's going, but no. We have a starter sit show to do, and you came in, you did the first one with me of the season, man. We actually crushed that one. We did pretty well, followed up by a pretty poor week 2. Since then, it's all been good, but I'm glad to have you back. Thomas, you're here with me every week. What's going on, dude? How you doing today?
Well, I woke up about, I don't know, 15 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago, and here I am. It's just how you ride, right? You don't miss the show no matter what. I
Dude,
could
I
miss
can't
that
tell you.
Dolphins game though. Woof.
I can't tell you how many times last year I would wake up and literally roll over and just hop on this. In fact, that's where the no pants joke came from Axel over there. But yeah, let's go ahead and kick this show off. We have some starter sit stuff. We have some injury news to talk about. Thomas, you have the injury report up right now.
Yeah, sir.
Can we go over some guys that might not be expected who are going to miss this game or maybe questionable that are going to play?
Sure, man. I mean, look, when it comes to being a couch doctor, I mean, I'm the guy. My credentials are not lacking with many broken bones and messed up limbs from professional wrestling. So if anyone can tell you how much of a wuss these extreme athletes are for not playing, it's definitely me.
Get out.
But right now, hey, gotta let them know I'm credible. The Chiefs could lose Tyreek Hill. I mean, it's kind of like a weird hush hush thing. He's questionable right now. But no big news from then. The football team are gonna miss Curtis Samuel again. Antonio Gibson and McLaurin are on the report. Nothing too serious. I mean, it's all pretty like Kadarius Toney is questionable, so we have to see with him. But so far for inactives, like for sure players that are missing, fantasy wise, nothing too huge. So
All right, sounds good.
I will keep an eye on that as the day goes along.
Obviously, with the injury reports mostly coming out around, I believe, 11:50 Eastern time. We don't have the actual reports, and Adam is not here to join us today. So we're going to do the best with updating that as the games or as the day continues to progress and we get close to the games. So let's go ahead and hop into these.
Watch Kareem Hunt. Like, so for every question that someone's about to ask for Kareem Hunt, like, be very wary leading up to game time, because he missed a ton of practice and he got listed with an ankle and a wrist. I don't think he's going to be like, temper your expectations. I'll just say it now before we get asked 100 times. I wouldn't play Deante Johnson at any cost if Hunt is active. We've seen that before. But just temper your expectations for Hunt. It's not going to be like a 25 for 155 and 2. All right. You can't just apply his like ridiculous touchdown variance to he's starting now. He's guaranteed to have 2.
All right, so let's go ahead and start out with this first question. We have Robert Woods up against Michael Pittman. That's coming in from Facebook user. This one for me isn't all that close. I do not like Robert Woods this week. He has a little bit of a tougher matchup. He's going to be up against Bradbury for the most part in this game. When he's not, he'll be facing Dory Jackson, but that won't be as detrimental. Either way,
Bradbury gotten like lit up all year?
It just depends on the type of receivers that Bradbury is playing. Bradbury typically struggles up against quicker wide receivers such as Terry McLaurin. So, yeah, you're going to end up struggling up against those guys. Robert Woods, I'm not saying he's a full-on possession receiver, but he's not a guy that's going to be burning anybody. Like, if it was Bradbury up against Cooper Kupp, that's a whole different animal. But it's mostly going to be Bradbury up against Robert Woods. I'm tempering my expectations for Robert Woods after he had a breakout week last week. If they start designing more plays for him like they did last week, then, yeah, you could see a little bit of a bigger hit. But I'd much rather pivot over to Pittman up against the Texans. I know that you're not going to have a ton of, passing opportunities because it's most likely going to end up being a blowout with Jonathan Taylor taking it to the house a few times. But I still like Michael Pittman. He's been performing at a very high level so far this year. I'm going Michael Pittman. Steven, where you got?
I'm probably still going Bob Woods, honestly. I mean, I know the matchup's not the greatest, but, you saw what they were able to do with him last week and force him the ball, his opportunity, and I'm still want to ride with that. I love Bob Woods coming into the season here. Again, disappointment early on, but he showed last week when they get him involved, he's amazing. And there's nothing against Michael Pittman. I think Michael Pittman's also a good matchup, but between those two, I'd still rather go Bob Woods.
Look, history has told us a couple of things in life, and one of those things is that you play T.Y. Hilton against the Texans. So if history has dictated anything, it's that Hilton, for some reason, will have 7 for 157 and 3. But if you don't want to walk down narrative street, I would still play Robert Woods because the Giants are decent at stopping the run. They suck pretty much everywhere else. I'll take the better player, and that's Robert Woods with the better offense.
All right. So let's go to this one.
Pittman has been good, so I couldn't fault you leaning either way.
All right. So Jerron Hurd asked TY or TL. I think I'm missing on TL. Who am I think? Who's
it's
he
Tyler
going with?
Lockett, I would assume.
Or TY Hilton?
I think it's
T.Y. Hilton and Tyler Lockett.
That's what I would assume it would be.
Okay, that's a weird way to ask it.
90s hip hop album.
Um,
Lockett still.
Yeah, Lockett. You know,
you can't trust
Gotta be
TY up
Lockett
until you see him
still.
coming back.
You
I'm on board with that.
You can't trust either of them, honestly.
Hey,
Like,
Jerron,
just don't watch your score box.
Jerron, if we're wrong about these guys, go ahead and put it in the chat so we know we can go back and actually fix that up. All right. David asks, I'm desperate. Start Hunter Renfrow, PPR. I actually kind of like Hunter Renfrow's matchup this week. You're not going to see a lot of targets on the outside. It's not the best matchup you're ever going to see. But, I mean, it really depends on who you actually have, David. Like, if you could actually comment in the chat, let us know some of the other guys that you're considering starting him over. I think that would help us out a little bit. I mean, is anybody saying that Renfrow is an automatic start up against the Broncos?
Well, I mean, when you say desperate, I assume you're like staring down like Donovan Peoples-Jones or like, I don't know, any of the Houston Texans, right? So
outside of Brandon Cooks.
If you're that, Brandon Cooks has done dog do the last 2 weeks. So I'm starting to not believe in my don't fade Brandon Cooks. Now he'll go for 45. But if you're that level of desperate, then yeah, you play Renfrow. Like, he's fine. He's gross, but he's fine.
He's been solid all season. He'll get 6 receptions a game, maybe 50 yards. I mean,
like, he's averaged 10 plus fantasy points. He's at like like almost 12 fantasy points per game right now. So yeah, you got to play him.
Comfortable that he's okay as a flex option.
All right, let's go ahead and hop over to Jamie Wyatt over there. Start AJ Brown or Alex Collins at flex. Okay, so I'm actually dealing with an AJ Brown situation, right? Because I have AJ Brown. This isn't Scott Fishbowl. I have like AJ Brown. I have Khalil Herbert, which is nasty. I mean, Kadarius Toney with Sterling Shepard coming back. Like, I'm dealing with a lot of AJ Brown type questions for myself, and I'm like, do I trust him up against the Bills? They're going to have to pass, but he saw 62% of the snaps last week. I mean, this is not a situation where you're like, dude, I need to get AJ Brown in my lineups. So where do y'all fall with this one? Because this is a pretty good entry-level discussion for an AJ Brown type starter sit.
I don't play scared. Give me AJ Brown against Buffalo. That game's going to be a shootout. When he's playing, he's getting the target share. He's dropped a bunch of deep balls, right? Julio Jones is back healthy off the injury report for maybe only the 5th time in his entire career. Like, you got to think that the Titans offense will get their shtick together and put together a game. And if that happens, right, that touchdown variance from Henry to Tannehill, it's got to come around. I want AJ Brown. I don't want to play for the floor of Alex Collins against Pittsburgh when we don't even know if DJ Dallas is going to see the ball a bunch. Alex Collins isn't just getting all of the work. So he's been fine. That's Pittsburgh. Give me Tannehill and AJ Brown personally.
Yeah, I'd want to take the talent over anything else. I mean, Collins will probably get you 6 or 7 points in this game here, but as long as Julio Jones is playing, I feel much more comfortable playing AJ Brown now. I know it's still a tough matchup, but you'd have to rely on that. If he's healthy, he played last week and now he's playing this week for sure, obviously, in AJ Brown. So I'd rather take the talent and hope that the Titans need to pass the ball a lot in this game and force a comeback. So.
Yeah, if it's something where you're projected to actually win this game by, let's just say 15 points, 20 points, just because like you're the person you're playing up against has guys like Hunter Renfrow, right? They're starting and their wide receiver, their slot position. I might actually lean Alex Collins because I do think he is the safer option in this one. However, if it's projected to be a close game, I'll take AJ Brown 100%. I think that AJ Brown could, like we talked about, still see the volume necessary to make it happen. And with Julio Jones coming back, it could increase his efficiency and possibly have Tre'Davious White over there covering Julio Jones instead of AJ Brown, which would make AJ Brown the primary target for this passing attack. All right, are we worried about Hunt's snap count? We'll start with this question. Are we worried about Hunt's snap count for this upcoming week? And I think Thomas brought it up earlier. This is something to monitor. And I kind of want to revisit that after the injury report comes out to make sure that we do see it. But I mean, even if it is the case, like, they're going to sell out to try and stop the run. Now, the Chargers are susceptible up against the run, but I'm sorry, not the Chargers. Who we have for the
Cardinals.
Yeah, the Cardinals. Oh no, the Cardinals are not susceptible up against the run. That's what it was. The Cardinals are not susceptible up against the run. They're susceptible in the secondary. They're pretty good at stopping pass catching running backs as well. I believe they rank 17th or 16th on the dump off containment efficiency score, or the DOS score. So I'm a little bit concerned that Hunt is actually a trap for DFS. Now, when it comes to league wide, just standard leagues for redraft, I'm playing Hunt. Like, there's very few guys that I would be playing over Hunt. For example, you have, is Connor a sneaky play with Edmonds hurt? I would not play Connor over Hunt as an example. But
I just want to play James Conner.
Wait, what?
I wouldn't play James Conner ever.
Oh, I thought you said I would play James Conner after.
No. That would be against brand. I have to shut down the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast. But look, James Conner is great if you love just 1 yard touchdowns and then wanting to pluck your eyes out with a fork. It's not good, right? But if it's Hunt, yeah, like I said, just temper your expectations.
Steven, how you feeling about Hunt? And let's go ahead and dive into the Connor situation following up with Hunt.
Yeah, so with Hunt, I think you have to start him if you have him on your team. I mean, he's been great. You just don't expect a RB1 probably performance this week. Expect more like a low end RB2 where he gets like 12 carries maybe and 60 yards. I don't think it's going to be a great game for him, but compared to the running backs right now and all the injuries, it almost like you can't not start him, because if he plays the whole game and he doesn't see that snap count as low as we might be projecting it might be, I mean, he's just too good not to pass up this season. So you have to play him. You just have to. And with Connor, I mean, I'd still start Hunt over Connor for sure. I think Connor's more of a TD bust kind of running back. You'd hope that he scores. If he doesn't score, he's going to put up 6 fantasy points probably. It's kind of what Connor's been doing this season. It's touchdown or bust with this guy.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, you're not seeing a ton of breakaway runs. And even if he was capable of breakaway runs, which he's not, we're seeing pretty much just Connor be a grinder. He's going to need the touchdowns. And I think this actually could be a little bit lower scoring game than what people are expecting. I've been seeing a lot of people have this as the highest scoring game of the week. I don't see that the case.
Breakaway
all right, so
runs. Oh, God.
All right, Mixon, Swift, or Hunt this week. This, for me, is hands down going DeAndre Swift. He's going to be the RB1 on the week for me.
It's just DeAndre Swift every week, right? Swift over everyone not named like Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, and McCaffrey when he's healthy. Other than that, give me Swift. Like, the guy is unreal. And he's getting arguably like the most red zone looks, targets. Just play Swift all the time.
I hate to disagree with you guys, but I'd probably would go Mixon. I mean, he's practiced most of the week. I mean, no Samaje Perine. I mean, they're playing Detroit. Detroit's allowed a ton of rushing yards this entire season. I think they're one of the worst in the league. Mixon looked good last week on limited touches. I mean, he's supposed to be hurt, but he looked pretty good. I'd still start Mixon over him. I mean, Swift might have more upside, but Mixon, I think, gives you a safe play all around where you don't have to worry about it.
I think that Mixon and Swift are both win-win situations. I don't think that Mixon will have a bad week, but Swift just has so much more upside in this offense. The Bengals are 28th, I believe, in dump-off containment efficiency score. They just let every single pass-catching back just destroy them week after week after week after week. And part of it has to do with they're good in the secondary. The other part has to do with they get pressure on the quarterback. So the dump-offs have to come because the quarterbacks don't have time to be able to get their receivers downfield. With that being said, the Lions don't have any receivers, and with the injury to Quintez Cephas, we might see Amon St. Ron on the outside a little bit more often and Swift in the slot, like we kind of expected him to be. Well, I expected him to be in the preseason. That hasn't happened as much. I don't see Swift coming off the field. He could end up playing 90% of the snaps this week, whether it's at wide receiver or at running back.
Jacob hit this best. 4 or 5 teams who played the Bengals set or tied the season high in running back targets that week. In total, they've allowed 46 running back targets. The only team in the NFL who's targeted their running backs more than 46 times, the Detroit Lions.
Yep, absolutely love it. All right, so 2 quarterback league, pick 2 to start. Tannehill, Cousins, Mayfield, Bridgewater. Tannehill, man, this is tough. Like the Buffalo edge rushers are actually very, very good. They've been getting pressure on the quarterback a decent amount, and they're not blitzing a ton. So Tannehill, whenever he's seen situations like this, he's actually turned the ball over a decent amount of times. However, he really hasn't had any healthy receivers. Meanwhile, Cousins, I love the matchup. I think I'm on board with Cousins. Like regardless, he does have weeks where he lets you down. I don't think this is going to be that week. For me now, it becomes between Mayfield and Bridgewater. So before I end up giving my pick on one of those two, Steven, do you want to start out and give me your thought process on this?
Yeah, I know a lot of people seem to like Tannehill as a big play because they're gonna have to be a shootout or coming back. I just can't see it. He's performed one game over 20 fantasy points this season here. He hasn't shown me, even with his receivers being out, he just hasn't shown me that he's been that effective as he's been in the last couple seasons now. So I'd probably go Cousins. He's usually pretty good. Again, he's had a bad week last week, but he should be able to bounce back. This matchup with Carolina this one should be more of a shootout than I think the Bills and Titans will be. And then Mayfield, I just can't trust Mayfield. I mean, I know that the running game might not be there as much, but I just can't trust Mayfield. I'd rather go Teddy Bridgewater, who's been pretty solid for the most part. Raiders have been, I guess, okay versus quarterbacks overall, but Teddy's been solid. I mean, and he's been pretty good this year. I'd rather take the safe play with Teddy and Cousins this week.
I'm a little concerned that the Broncos turn this into a run-heavy game, but Thomas, what's your thoughts?
I never play for floor, so give me Tannehill. Right? Again, it's every Tannehill question is going to come with the same information. Eventually, Derrick Henry won't score 98% of their touchdowns. You have to assume with those two wide receivers healthy and ready to go that Tannehill should be able to do some work.
But AJ Brown's not healthy. AJ Brown won't be healthy until they're saying week 10 they're going to limit his snap count.
Right, but this is his second week back, right? So he's healthy-er. So you're going to have those. That's enough for me and a guy like AJ Brown. So I got to play Tannehill. I really do. Right?
Who's your other guy in there?
Oh, it's easily Kirk Cousins. I'm sorry. I didn't even think that was actually questionable.
Okay, cool.
I don't want to play for
so
floor. Mayfield is like one of the worst fantasy quarterbacks. Like he's so bad for fantasy, and he's hard to watch miss Odell Beckham Jr. constantly. So I'm kind of spiteful for that. And then Bridgewater's just too safe for me.
I don't know.
If I'm losing, I'm going to lose to a quarterback that puts up 4 points. All right? Like that's how I'm going down.
So when I watch the Browns film, I really don't watch Baker. And, I have watched like the passes that he missed back 2 weeks ago to Odell. I went back and watched a lot of that. He just seemed off. But Baker does end up at some point like riding the ship. He looks terrible, like 4 or 5 games in a year, like atrocious. And then the whole rest of the season, he looks like an adequate passer. In this game, man, up against the Cardinals, I just feel like Kyler Murray is going to pull this team ahead relatively quick. And if Kareem Hunt is hindered by his ability, it's going to leave a lot more passing opportunities for Baker Mayfield to have. And yeah, I think that the Cardinals are a little bit more porous in the secondary. I think I'm going to go with Baker over Bridgewater by a hair, but I'm benching Tannehill until I see more consistency with that. He's too volatile for me. And I know that Baker Mayfield's in a similar situation, but I don't like the edge rushing coming off the field for Tannehill. Meanwhile, Mayfield won't have to deal with as much of the pressure in his face. All right.
You know what is crazy? You know what is crazy about Baker Mayfield is Derek Carr is significantly better for fantasy, but people continuously take a giant fantasy dump on Derek Carr and not Baker Mayfield. It is absolutely insane. Mayfield has never finished above 22 in 4-point touchdown leagues. That is hilarious to me.
And I love Derek Carr, by the way. Huge on Derek Carr.
I know you do. That's why I always pump him up for you.
I love Derek Carr. All right, so we got a tough choice here, Amari Cooper or Deante Johnson. This is a tough choice because Deante Johnson should see an increased volume. Meanwhile, I believe this game, they'll probably end up being down against the Seahawks at some point, and the Seahawks defense is terrible. So you're going to be able to move the ball. Amari Cooper, this one's a little bit tougher matchup, and I hate Deante Johnson. I might lean Deante Johnson in this. I think that they're going to have more opportunities on offense for the Pittsburgh Steelers than the Cowboys are going to have on offense up against the Patriots. I'm going to go with the team that sees more passing opportunities, and I think that's most likely going to be the Steelers. I'm going to go Deontay Johnson, and I hate Deontay Johnson. Steven?
Yeah, for me, it's Deontay Johnson without a doubt. This is not a tough choice whatsoever for me personally. I mean, the New England Patriots, they find a way to take their best wide receiver out of the game here. I know people want to say it's Lamb, but Cooper is their wide receiver one still, and I'm sure that Bill's going to find a way to get him kind of out of the game and let them just say, all right, feed Lamb and see what you can do against us with just Lamb. So Deante Johnson has been great all season when he plays. That's the only issue with him, but when he's on the field there, I have to throw him in my starting lineup at any moment.
Thomas, you have a take?
I do. I love it because I love disagreeing, right? I think the New England Patriots defense is trash. Like, it's garbage. It's been garbage, right? They get almost dusted by Houston last week, right? In the passing game.
But Brandon Cooks did nothing.
Sure. He also did nothing. He did nothing the week before too, right? And Houston isn't Dallas, right? So New England's going to have to worry about the run game because somehow Zeke is back from the dead to shove it down the full tilt throat here. And so they're going to have to worry about Zeke and Pollard, right? That's going to be priority one. And I just don't think they're going to contain Cooper and Lamb. I think Dak is able to figure that out. And then, oh my goodness. My other problem with Deante Johnson is after Juju went down, he had 2 targets that week. And they're going to be up by, they're going to run the ball on Seattle. I just don't want to play Deontay ever if I can avoid it. And then in a game where they're going to run the ball 35 times against the Seattle team with a backup quarterback that can't stop it, yeah, I'll take Cooper.
All right, so the Patriots defense has given up 22 points up against the Texans, 19 to the Buccaneers. The Saints wasn't good. It was 28, 6 to the Jets, and 17 to the Dolphins. So I don't know, man. I'm more on the side of thinking the Patriots defense is a little bit better than what we expected, especially with a quarterback who hasn't been great over the first few games and giving opposing offenses opportunities to score.
But they gave up 360 yards to the Texans. The Texans.
Yeah. And one of them was like an 80-yard play was a super ridiculously lucky play.
In a damn near like neutral game script.
All right, so y'all know how I said that I rolled out of bed half the time last year because I was working so late and I would literally roll out of bed. This is Axel, and he asks every show if I'm wearing pants because the one where he asked me the first time, yeah, I was not. So what's up, Axel? Welcome to the chat, of course. All right, Hubbard or Cooks in the flex position? I'm guessing that's Brandon Cooks, and I love Hubbard this week. I'm playing Hubbard everywhere. I think that the matchup up against the Minnesota Vikings is easy. Do we need to spend any more time on that one?
No.
Cool.
I don't.
All right. Renfro or Tony non-PPR? I'm going Tony in this one. Tony has the big playability. Hunter Renfro is always going to have the receptions, right? He's always going to have the catches. Tony's had more catches as of late, but Tony still has the big playability. I believe in the first week that he played back 2 weeks ago, where he saw, 100 and something odd yards. 5 of his 6 receptions went for a first down, and 5 of his 6 receptions were behind the line to gain or behind the first down marker, and he was still able to make plays happen. Hunter Renfro, love him. He gets open, but he doesn't do anything with the yards after the catch, which means that I need a guy who's either going to get downfield or I need a guy who's going to get yards after the catch. That's Kadarius Toney. I know Sterling Shepard's back, but Sterling Shepard might end up playing a little bit more on the outside with Kenny Golladay missing. And do we have a report yet on Slayton?
He's out today.
Okay, he's out. So
Slayton is...
yeah, Tony's going to be playing in the slot most likely, and they're designing plays for him. I'm going Kadarius Toney on this one.
Yeah, Kadarius Toney's just reached that point where you have to play him. Right? He's been good.
Yeah, he's got the big play.
All right,
that's one of those ones where you got to correct your narrative, right? Like, don't just be too stubborn to admit that he's been good for fantasy, right? So
he's been great. He's been
plug
immaculate.
in Tony. The last couple of weeks has been fantastic.
Flex Booker over Mike Williams. Hell no. Get away from Deontay Booker, all y'all. Like, he is a roster bomb. He's not a roster clog. He's a roster bomb.
Well,
You'll put him in your starting lineup, and he's going to get you 20 carries for 60 yards, and nothing's going to happen with that offense. But go ahead, Thomas. What you got?
Mike Williams didn't practice all week. So if you're rolling out, and again, I don't play for floor. So for me, yeah, playing Mike Williams. But I'm also already accepting 1 catch for 5 yards. So if you're playing Mike Williams, expect him to like run 3 routes, pull something, or like he'll take Guyton's role, which is just like running in a straight line. Guyton is the fullback of wide receivers. He's out there all the time running routes, but doesn't do anything. So if you're playing Mike Williams, just be like, I would rather have Mike Williams do nothing for me than play Booker and be like, give me those 6 points. Like, that's not me. So yeah, Mike Williams for me.
I will say you can run on the Rams to an extent, but go ahead, Steven.
I was gonna say Booker honestly wouldn't be the worst decision if you were to make it. If you're that concerned with Mike Williams, I mean, it seems like you always say just you play studs, and Mike Williams has been a stud this season. So I would probably play Mike Williams, but if you wanted to go and flex Booker, I don't think it'd be the worst case. He did see receptions last week. I mean, there's something there with him, but I think it's still Mike Williams. You had to take that upside that Mike Williams has presented this season with all of us.
All right, we have John in the chat. He's saying, should I start KC or Green Bay defense? KC is playing Washington. Green Bay playing Chicago.
Green Bay.
Yeah, Green Bay. That's not even an argument. I'm very concerned that, like, for Kansas City, that Gibson's going to be able to put up, like, 160 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns against them this week. Gibson's one of my favorite plays in the week for DFS.
On one leg.
Yep, on one shin.
Okay,
all right, how bad is Chubb's injury? Desperate in starting Collins. Does he see the bulk of the volume? So obviously this week Chubb's out, right? So
yeah,
like
Chubb is out.
That's not even a thing. But Frank, unfortunately, we don't have Adam in the chat. If you go to @therealadam_H on Twitter, I'm sure if you hit him up in the DMs, he would actually respond to you relatively quickly. He's the guy to ask over there about how bad Chubb's injury is. Hopefully he'll be back with us next week again, and we can discuss Chubb's injury if it's still a concern. But yeah, desperate in starting Collins, does he see the bulk of the volume? And he should see the bulk of the volume. But like Thomas brought up, you never know if Homer's going to get involved or DJ Dallas will get involved. Obviously, DJ Dallas was the guy last week, but previously it's been Homer almost every week prior to. So there is somewhat of a concern over there. Meanwhile, the Seahawks are most likely going to have to pass, and you can't really run up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Not that you can get pass catching work either. They have the 3rd overall dose score, so you can't. Yeah, receiving backs don't do shit against them.
Well, those linebackers are really good.
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, like I would kind of scour the rest of your lineup, and you could put it in the chat again if you'd like to discuss if there's a better flex option than Collins. But if you need a running back and that's your dude, I mean, I don't know how many other guys I would start above him that would be available on your waivers or whatnot. Jerick McKinnon would be the one guy if you need flex upside. Yeah. All right, let's see. Thielen, Julio, and Woods, pick 2, please. Steven, I'm going to start out with you on this one.
Yeah, before I get started, just want to say Jalen Waddle is the king of like 3-yard touchdown passes this season. Anytime 2 is in
another one.
He just got another one. Yeah, it's 2 now.
I just saw it. Yeah, that's awesome.
If only he didn't drop the one last week.
So I love Jalen Waddle, but in this matchup here, it's probably Thielen and Woods. I'm not trusting Julio coming off an injury right now, playing a really tough Bills defense. Like I said, we talked about Woods earlier. He's solid. Thielen, I think, was somewhat banged up this week too, but the matchup is good enough. I think that, we talked about we like Kirk Cousins. Thielen should at least have an opportunity to score a touchdown every single week. So I'd rather take that than risk throwing Julio his first game back in a couple weeks.
That's closer for me. I think that Julio's probably going to be the guy that sees the majority of targets. But how many targets is that going to be? How many passing opportunities will Tannehill see, and how many will he actually complete? I'm probably looking at like a 58% completion rate or so this week. If I had to throw a number out there, probably 55 to 58, somewhere in there. I mean, Julio's probably going to see, 7 to 8 targets. 5 receptions. I'm going to go Thielen and Woods and hope for the touchdown from Thielen. But even if I don't get the touchdown, I still think he could perform. He's most likely going to be facing some combination of C.J. Henderson. Yeah, I'm going to go Thielen and Woods and hope that they don't have that defense melded yet from all the trades and moves they've been making so far throughout the season. Thomas?
Man, I hate to keep saying this, but you would play Julio Jones in any matchup with Matt Ryan, right? The decrepit armed quarterback himself.
Matt Ryan was better than
Tannehill. But why wouldn't you do the same with Julio now, right? Julio Jones, when he's been healthy this year, has played really well, and that's with Tannehill being bad. So I'm playing Julio for big play and touchdown, and it's Julio healthy again, non-injury report, only like the 5th time in his career. Julio Jones and Adam Thielen 4 touchdowns.
That's why. So the reason why I wouldn't play him is because with Matt Ryan, you're seeing 40 attempts a game. With Ryan Tannehill, you're seeing 25, 30 attempts per game. And half of those are going to the running back or the tight end at this point because he's just doing dump offs because they're getting so much pressure up against that offensive line. So
well, sure, but some of that is because his guys have been injured, right?
Yep.
He's missed. He had Julio gone for an entire half in a game that AJ Brown was gone. Then he had both of them gone for a game or two. Like I'm not vetting that this is the Tannehill we're gonna see. Like there's no way the last 2 or 3 years are just gone.
All right, Ben Waters needs to replace Chris Carson. He has Melvin Gordon or Khalil Herbert. I think that this could be a Javonte Williams breakout game. I like Melvin Gordon. I think that he's very solid. He's going to see the touches, and the Broncos want to run the ball. This will be a run-heavy game. But Javonte Williams has got more and more work each week. He's got more red zone opportunities for the most part outside of the game where he fumbled. Khalil Herbert should see a ton of volume this game in both the passing and the receiving and the running game. I think I'm going to lean Khalil Herbert because he's like the only guy in that backfield right now. Where are you looking?
Yeah, I just want to play Khalil Herbert this week. Right? Like Melvin Gordon's fine, but I want to play Herbert. He looked great. He's looked very good.
I'd still probably go Melvin Gordon, honestly. I don't like Khalil Herbert that much, honestly. I feel like the Bears are going to be behind in this game really early. Herbert didn't even see a reception last week. I know Damian Williams was there, but I really feel like this is the week that the Bears get the passing game going downfield this week because they're forced to. And, Khalil Herbert's going to get you – he's going to get you probably 15 carries, but he's going to get you, 70 yards in the day. And I feel like that's all you're getting. I think Melvin Gordon still has close to this 1A, 1B situation in Denver that they're going to attempt to run the ball as much as they can against this, Raiders offense here that are in just mantle, especially on the coaching staff. So I'd still probably go Gordon.
All right, we have Josh Jacobs or Devonta Booker. Dude, I mean, this one for me isn't even close. I know the Broncos have had a good defense so far this year, but the volume that Josh Jacobs is getting is absolutely through the roof. Is there any other take that you guys have from this? Is there any way that you're playing Devonta Booker over Josh Jacobs?
No. He's the starter. He's the guy. Devontae Booker. Look, when a guy needs injuries and then in those opportunities doesn't do well, play the starter that is iffy at that point because volume.
We got Matthew Raffin in the chat, right? He's over there on YouTube. Guys, go check out youtube.com/fantasy intervention. If we're helping you all out every single week and we're going and doing, these starter sit questions for you, don't just go follow us on Twitter. Go check out youtube.com/fantasy intervention and hit that follow button or that subscribe button. It goes a long, long way for us, even if it's just one person. Go check it out, youtube.com/fantasy intervention. And of course, make sure y'all go check us out on Twitter as well. Y'all can see the handles right there. I'll put it back up on the screen in a second, but let's go ahead and answer Matthew's question. He needs to. AJ Brown, Swift, and Mixon. We already talked about how great Mixon and Swift are probably going to be this week. I mean, is there any question, even though it's standard league scoring, that you would go with AJ Brown over either one of these two?
No. I'm playing the running back, right? It may not be points per reception, but again, Swift is a stud, and Mixon is a good matchup.
Yeah, I mean, Mixon's regardless going to be a starting standard. Swift becomes a little bit less valuable because he's a guy that's going to rack up 8 targets or 8 receptions in this game. So maybe that's where I would consider starting AJ Brown because he would probably most likely be more efficient in the receiving game. He might see 6 receptions, but he could take 2 of those to the house. That's the only thing that would make me question starting AJ Brown over Swift, but I am going Swift. All right, should I flex Josh Jacobs or Darnell Mooney this week? Guys, I'm sorry, I got to go Josh Jacobs. This is getting a little bit too cute for me. I know that you have a very beat up, Green Bay secondary, but is there any way that you're going to go Darnell Mooney unless maybe you need you're projected to lose by 20 points. So you need a massive performance. You need 120 yards, 2 touchdowns up against a porous Green Bay secondary. That's the only way that I would be going Darnell Mooney is if I'm projected to get crushed.
Agreed, Chase, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, this is one of those rare occasions where my my inner self says take the sure thing is Josh Jacobs. Fields looks shaky.
All right, so who's the sure thing here, A-Rob or Kadarius Toney? Because we've seen Kadarius Toney be the sure thing, and A-Rob hasn't done anything this year. They're
so
just not
disgusting.
clicking.
It's disgusting. I would go Toney. He's shown something of life this year. A-Rob has not shown us anything. It's hard to even trust him.
I'm
he had a matchup
so
last
happy.
week, and I sat him. Even against Detroit last week, I sat him. I was just not having any of it.
I am so happy that everybody's coming around to Toney because he was one of my favorite receivers in this entire draft.
It is not because we want to.
Yeah,
it's because he's good.
Out of pure necessity.
It's
at this point. He's been good for 2 weeks. His process was still correct.
He's the human joystick. Yes, the process was correct. My process. All right. So T.Y. against
Colin
Houston. I don't have a process on him. I'm a fan of Colin Johnson. All right. So there's this process, right? Like where you actually you want a player to be good and you root for a player. And then you have players that you actually project are going to be good. I want Colin Johnson to do well. I want him to crush it. But I projected Kadarius Toney to be a beast in the NFL. And I still think he's going to be that if he can keep his head on straight and stop punching people's helmets. All right.
I can't believe he missed and that was premeditated. How do you miss,
he
man?
Hit him in the back. He hit him in the back of the head, right in the soft spot.
But
it's called the helmet. You still don't punch a helmet. All right, AJ Brown or Mike Williams or Booker for the flex. Okay, this is where it kind of gets a little bit closer for me. This is probably the realm where I have AJ Brown. Really, Bentley? You're gonna do this on a show? All right. I have AJ Brown slightly ahead of Mike Williams because of the injury concern from Mike Williams this week and not practicing. AJ Brown obviously is going to be involved, but he's going to be limited. Mike Williams is going to be limited as well. I like AJ Brown off of sheer efficiency in this one over Mike Williams, but Mike Williams, I mean, I still don't think it's a bad play for either one of these guys. And yeah, I'm going to go AJ Brown for the flex.
Yeah, I'm agree with that. Just because of Mike Williams not practicing all week and it's still questionable for this game. He's playing, but I'd rather go AJ Brown. So he's at least practiced in some fashion this week. So
give me AJ Brown, the bounce back of the Titans. Remember the Titans.
Pick 2: Deante Johnson, AJ Brown, Amari Cooper, or Emmanuel Sanders. I'm going to go ahead and strike Emmanuel Sanders from my list. Is there anybody on here that you guys want to strike out of these 4?
Well, we're picking 2, so we got to strike 2.
Yeah, but immediately, you're
AJ Brown for me, honestly.
Okay.
Over these guys, I'd probably not pick AJ Brown.
Interesting.
I'm not putting Emmanuel Sanders in my lineup. I'm not
up against the Titans. The Titans do have a porous defense, by the way, and I struck them. But thinking about it now, their defense is extremely porous, and if you're expecting a shootout, you could end up running AJ Brown and Emmanuel Sanders, 1-for-1 up against each other, and you can actually hit a extremely high upside on that. They correlate.
I'm not banking on Emmanuel Sanders keeping up doing what he's doing. I'm not gonna bank on that. So I'm taking the better player. So I'm actually playing Deante Johnson and Amari Cooper out of this group because they're the healthy players, they're the good players, they're ready to go. AJ Brown, if he is still limited, and then Emmanuel Sanders' role, even though it's been good, is still technically limited. Give me Amari Cooper and Deante Johnson. And let me tell you, that might be the first time I ever picked Deante Johnson over anyone.
I'm in the same boat as Thomas. I'm going Deante Johnson, Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
So I'm also just trying to read the inactives that are coming in now. So stay tuned for that.
Wentz or Heineke this week? Heineke, people are saying he's going to have a massive, day. Obviously, we saw him have a very good day up against the Bills a few weeks ago when they got blown out. It's a very real possibility. But if Washington wants to stay in this game, they're going to have to end up getting Gibson the ball in the running game. They cannot continue to drop back and pass and let Heineke create turnovers and get sacked. Even with this porous defense for the Chiefs, I don't think that Heineke is going to pass a whole bunch unless they end up going down by 3 touchdowns and Gibson can't run the ball. I just don't see that being the case. I'm going to go Wentz in this matchup, I believe. Up against the Texans, where I feel like I'm guaranteed. I know that the Texans have a slightly better defense and all that stuff, but I feel like Wentz is going to be a safer option this week because I don't know how many attempts Heineke is going to have if they keep this game competitive. God, if the Colts blow them out.
I'm going Heineke.
I know Thomas is going Heineke. That's his dude.
Look, Tay is a beauty. He's an absolute beauty. Don't watch the game, okay? Because it's going to look bad. But at the end of the day, the football team is going to be like, look, we're going to run the ball. We're going to stay on the run. They're going to be like, crap, we're down 17. Abandon the game plan. And Tay is going to go out there and do magical things like he does because he is Bay. And he's going to show out and earn the job full time.
Whew, okay.
Give me
Hot
Tay.
take. All right, we have
Tay
Jamie in the
outscores
chat.
Wentz by 8 points this week. Book it.
What's up, Jamie from the UK? Who do you think?
What up? What up?
I don't know what that GB thing is. Do you guys see that GB?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that is. But who do you think? Woods, Cooks, or
it's
the Great Britain flag, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So who do you think? Woods, Cooks, or Cooper? Pick 2 standard scoring. Woods and Cooper for me. I'm staying away from Cooks until I see more consistency.
Better offenses.
Yeah, I agree with that, honestly. I kind of wish Cooks was better, but I mean, just Davis Mills really hasn't thrown him. He's been spreading the ball out a little bit more. So I'd rather go Woods and Cooper too.
When was the last time you thought to yourself, man, I want Tyrod Taylor to come back really quickly? Right? Like, when was the last time that was possible?
Absolutely never.
Never.
Please give me Tyrod back.
All right. Will Cohen or Wilson Jr. be worth a pickup? Also, are you guys on TikTok with fantasy football knowledge? Frank, I actually do have a TikTok, and I have done fantasy football on there, but I've been a little bit too busy to really attack it this season. I plan in the offseason to get to it, but you guys can go check it out, Fantasy Intervention on TikTok. It's over there. All right, as for Cohen and Wilson Jr., wait, Steven, are you on TikTok?
No, I mean, we are, but we're not. I haven't really set anything up on it yet. I still have to figure out how to use it to that knowledge, so but I'm not there yet, so.
Sounds good. Thomas, I don't think you're on TikTok, right?
I am, but the only thing you're getting out of me is clips, yo. Like that's my jam. I already have 1,000. I have 1,000 of them on my PC, so I'm going to be uploading them with regularity. You can find that at Thomas Tipple FF. But also, I don't care about Cohen, but I would pick up Wilson Jr.
Yeah, I agree on that. Cohen's going to have a shared backfield. He could end up being the fourth, back on this field, depending on how Khalil Herbert performs. So,
I can't believe they paid him. Oh my God. That's arguably the worst contract in football right now.
Oh yeah.
It's up there. All right. Wilson Jr., will he worth the pickup? Absolutely for me. This offense is dying for a good, solid running back, especially a guy that is good inside the 5. They don't have that right now. I think that Wilson Jr. is going to be that dude. He's definitely worth a pickup. All right. What about Goff this week? He's 5,100 up against Cincinnati. Goff is one of my favorite DFS plays to an extent, but keep in mind, Goff has also turned the ball over a ton. He is like 7 or 9 turnovers of the past 2 or 3 games. The Cincinnati game is not a great matchup, but if you're trying to find a guy who's around 5K so you can build like a stacked lineup at the forefront, Goff is going to have to pass. Swift is going to be efficient in the receiving game. I think that Hawkinson plays all right. And Amon-Ra St. Brown should be okay in the receiving game. If they can end up getting inside the red zone, let's just say 4 or 5 times throughout this game, or let's just say 3 or 4 actually, because I think 5 is probably a stretch. If they can get inside the red zone 3 or 4 times, you could see Goff, definitely getting probably 3 of those touchdowns because they don't really run inside the red zone as much as you'd like to see. They still use the running backs. They just don't run the whole time. All right. Unless you guys have a different take. I mean,
yeah.
I know.
At 5K, it's tough to find any quarterback. So
yeah,
I remove myself from all Jared Goff questions because we'd like to keep it a semi-PG around here.
All right, Shepard or Tony versus the Rams. Man, this is
Tony.
A little bit closer for me.
He's
Shepard's
healthier.
Yeah.
No, he's not healthy. He was injured this week too. So Shepard's a floor play. Tony's an upside play. It's kind of how I see it.
Shepard's been a boss, right? This is why the Giants team is so annoying. Is that when Shepard was in, he's been boss.
He's played in the slot, he's playing the slot the whole time. But
right,
Kadarius Toney's going to be playing the slot.
Maybe because Kadarius Toney was still winning outside, and they don't have anyone else outside because Golladay is out and Slayton is out. So if Toney can win outside, you put Toney outside. So then do you trust the targets to be distributed evenly, or is Daniel Jones just going to do his I'm hyper targeting the slot and then forget about Toney? This question hurts my brain, but I want whoever's going to play in the slot. And so far, that's actually been Shepard. right? That's his spot. He's the vet. He's earned it. That's how coaches work. And I don't want Ramsey on the outside. So give me Shepard and just don't watch.
Yeah, it's more of a coin flip for me. I'm going to try and look something up real quick as I talk, but the Rams actually get beat underneath. That's a big thing. Like Jalen Ramsey, he plays the slot so far this year, but he's been playing like off. Like he's been playing deep. Like if you're playing shortstop without anybody on base, you play back. It's one of your furthest like lineups. It's the same exact thing as to where Ramsey's been playing. He's been letting people get underneath, or the whole game plan is to let people get underneath, catch a short reception, and then, corral the receiver before he actually gets yards after the catch. Meanwhile, the 8.8 target difference for Shepard would lead me to believe that he was running deeper routes out of the slot, which would actually hinder the production of Shepard, because he would be facing Kadarius Toney. I'm sorry, he would be facing Jalen Ramsey in deeper areas. That's what happened to Christian Kirk, and Christian Kirk got shut down back a week or two ago. So Shepard concerns me a little bit more. I'm probably going to go with Toney on this one. All right, let's see. I didn't see Shimmy's question. Oh, he said A-Rob, Kadarius Toney. He also has Cole Beasley. I think the Cole Beasley is a good one, but I'm going to go Kadarius Toney over Cole Beasley. All right, T. Higgins.
Yeah, I don't want Beasley at all.
No.
T. Higgins with a favorable matchup, more mouths to feed, or Hollywood Brown with a less favorable matchup, less competition for looks around him. I think that Lamar Jackson is going to be passing a lot this game. I think that he's going to be running a lot. I think he's going to be passing a lot. I don't know if that's going to be the case with Joe Burrow. I think that Joe Burrow could still throw 30 times and complete 26 of them. And, what T. Higgins could have 6, 7 of them with maybe a touchdown. So he has a way, way better floor and still has upside play. Hollywood Brown could end up giving you 2 touchdowns for 150 yards, or he could give you 5 receptions for 40 yards. Like, it just depends on how they utilize him. The Chargers defense is really good. I think I'm going to lean Hollywood Brown if you need upside, and go with T. Higgins if you need a better floor. And it's a very vast margin between the two. Like if you need to score, like I said, like 15, 20 points, if you're projected to lose big time, go Hollywood Brown. If you're anywhere close to being able to compete, go T. Higgins.
Yeah, Chase, I'm kind of on the same page with you. I think I like Hollywood Brown better. I know like the matchup isn't as great, but he's been producing all season. I mean, he's the number wide receiver. I mean, honestly, I think he's the number one pass catcher over Andrews, and it's weird to say that, but I mean, Lamar Jackson has been throwing a ton this season here now, and again, just like last week, when I feel like they're going to fall behind a little bit because this Chargers offense is really good, and Lamar Jackson's going to have to throw the ball. And when they started throwing the ball, Hollywood Brown started catching the ball a lot more, and they find more creative ways to get him open instead of just slinging it downfield and have him try to beat out his defender. They're moving him around the field. I'm choosing Hollywood Brown on this matchup here. It'd be weird to say that like 6 weeks ago.
I'm trying to be a paragon of objectivity in this debate, but this might come as a surprise, but I'm actually playing T. Higgins. Here's why. I think that you're going to need the big play from Marquise this week, and I don't think the Chargers are going to give it to him. The Chargers defense is not the backups for Indianapolis, and they will not play quarter defense for an entire half plus overtime. This game is going to be rough for Baltimore. They're going to be down 55 at halftime because their defense is absolute dog water. And you might think that would be great for Marquise Brown, but not exactly. He's still not a target machine. So I think Higgins is going to go absolutely bananas. I think that whole offense is going to go bananas today. I'm going to lean T. Higgins because I just think he's more consistent and has the same variance as Hollywood Brown does. And trust me, Hollywood Brown's great. You can go read about him on Fantasy Intervention. It's like one of 3 articles I've ever written. I love him. But this game is going to be brutal for the Ravens across the board. They could lose by 28 today.
All right, guys. So we're going to have to go rapid fire on this. We have a ton of questions still left to go. So let's get as quick with our analysis as possible. Do we have any report on Kareem Hunt?
Kareem Hunt.
No, yes, he's trying to make a sex joke over here. I don't know who you are, Facebook user. Good try. Good try to get me to say exactly what you typed.
No news.
So it's just limited snaps essentially. All right, we have.
I just got it. That's actually funny.
All right, Green Bay.
Yeah.
I didn't do it. All right, Green Bay or Buffalo.
Luckily,
defense.
I'm too stupid to do it. I'll stay out of the defense.
Green Bay up against up against a terrible offense for the Chicago Bears. Khalil Herbert or Darrell Williams this week in PPR. I'm going to go with Khalil Herbert because even if it is a blowout, the Washington front seven is still good at stopping the run. They're terrible at covering pass catching running backs. So what you really want is a shootout and hope that he gets targets if you are playing Darrell Williams. But I'm going to go Herbert in this matchup. Y'all have a different take?
No, I just don't want Darrell. I don't want Darrell Williams. Give me Herbert.
I like Darrell Williams, honestly. I feel like with Hill, banged up kind of, they might have to resort to throwing the running backs.
God, I love McKinnon. I need to get some more DFS lineups with McKinnon in.
McKinnon's every chance he gets, he just seems to come in for one sporadic week and just do well
for the past 2 or 3 years now. It's crazy.
Yeah,
This is that week. This is that week that McKinnon goes off. All right, Pittsburgh or Dallas defense. Oof. I'm gonna go with Dallas in this one. You could see Pittsburgh just open up in the secondary and end up getting blown out by the Seahawks. The Patriots, with a rookie quarterback, we could see Dallas get a couple turnovers, possibly have a touchdown. I'm going with Dallas.
Same.
I'd start Pittsburgh because they have the chance to get sacks and points. I'll take that.
All right, Pittman, Cooks, or Lockett PPR. I'm going to go with Pittman, but Lockett's close. I'm going to see what happens with Geno Smith before I start Lockett when I have good players that I can actually throw into my lineup, and I consider Pittman a very good option this week.
Yeah, Pittman too. He's seen the targets. He should still see the targets. T.Y. will help make a distraction.
Yeah, give me Pittman.
All right, we have Isaiah Simmons as a must start at the IDP position. So I've been having this controversy with myself because I have Isaiah Simmons, I have Micah Parsons, I have to start 3, and I have a lot of good options. And I've been rolling out Isaiah Simmons in multiple different weeks. I think it just depends on who they are actually going up against, and if he's going to see a ton of snaps on the defensive side up against the Browns. I don't know that's going to happen. And we really don't know what's going to happen with Kareem Hunt in the volume. They could end up turning this to a wide receiver game. I'm going to say that Isaiah Simmons is not a must start this week, but as an overall, I want to start him more weeks than not. All right.
I know nothing about IDP. Play good players.
All right. Tony Pollard or Javonte Williams. I think this is the Javonte Williams breakout week. I'm going Javonte Williams.
Yeah, Javonte.
All right. What's going on, Mark? How you doing, man? Full PPR, flex spot, Hawkinson, Boyd, Mooney, Renfro. I'm going to go Hawkinson. I think that Hawkinson is probably going to see more volume than any one of these guys. And they're going to have to play catch up. I'm going Hawkinson.
Agreed, Hawkinson.
Yeah, me too, but this is all gross.
All right, Wentz or Tanny lost Wilson. I'm going Wentz in this one.
Wentz.
Tannehill.
All right, we have Pittsburgh or Cowboys defense. We just hit that one. We have 2 for Cowboys, 1 for Pittsburgh. Full PPR, pick 2. Mike Williams, Pittman, Locks, or Cooks.
Pittman, Lockett.
Williams.
I agree. You're going Williams and Pittman, Steve?
Yeah, I'm still taking Williams upside.
Okay. We have Jonathan Taylor, Antonio Gibson, Dalvin Cook, Marquise Brown, 2 RB slots, 1 flex. So Gibson for me is a lock. So is Jonathan Taylor. I think it boils down to Dalvin Cook or Marquise Brown, and that's not even close to me. I'm going Dalvin Cook.
Just got the running backs.
I'm playing all 3 backs.
All right, Mac Jones or Tannehill this week. This is where I would probably pull Tannehill over Mac Jones. The Cowboys defense has been a lot better this upcoming year, and I know that Jacoby Myers is probably going to have an epic week up against Jordan Lewis in the slot, but there's really nobody else to throw to in this offense. It's going to be a run-heavy week, or it's going to be passes to Brandon Bolden, actually. That's where I'm going with this, but Tannehill is a good amount above Mac Jones.
Yeah, Tannehill for me too.
All right, I'm starting Heineke over Tannehill. I would too.
That's fair.
Yep.
What's going on, Jamal? Trade question. Patrick Mahomes, Tyler Lockett, Josh Jacobs for Jalen Hurts, Keenan Allen, Darrell Henderson. I'd be receiving Mahomes and crew. I would probably go the Jalen.
It's one QB.
Yeah, and I guess for single quarterback. Yeah, well, he already has Kyler Murray. So why would you want Mahomes?
I don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand. Look, if it's one quarterback, don't trade for another one. Don't roster two.
Allen and Henderson are much more appealing than Lockett and Jacobs.
Like, I'm assuming this is a redraft scenario. So
yeah, I'm sure it is too.
Then I'm taking. Oh God, I'm actually.
If it's dynasty,
I might take Lockett and Jacobs, honestly, if it's over Keenan Allen and Darrell Henderson. I hate myself for it, though.
Yeah, I think Steven and I are on the other side.
I can't be much help on that one.
All right, Renfrow over Van Jefferson. Van Jefferson always has that upside type ability, but Renfrow's a lot safer. I'm probably going to go Renfrow regardless in this one just because I don't trust, Van Jefferson getting anywhere from like 2 to 5 targets per game. Renfrow's going to be getting 8 almost every single game. I'm going Renfrow in this one. Do you guys disagree?
No, I love
Renfrow.
All right. Let's see. Amari Cooper or Chase Claypool? Chase Claypool is a sexy option this week.
I like Claypool.
I'm going to go Claypool as well.
Yeah, give me Clay.
All right. Tony or Higgins? Ooh, this is close for me. I'm going to go Higgins in this one, but this is kind of where like the line is drawn for Kadarius Toney and T. Higgins for me. I think that Toney is a little bit riskier, and I think that Higgins' upside isn't that much farther behind than Toney's. So I'm going to go with a safer option that has a very similar ceiling. I'm going to go Higgins.
Yeah, Higgins for me.
Yeah, I'll take Higgins. Yep.
All right. Facebook user, it doesn't seem like they're even addressing these comments. We are literally going through this list and doing all the comments. All right.
Get a picture.
For the love of God, does TJ Hawk do something this week? Not yelling, just frustrated. Hawkinson, man, this is something that's been a little bit tougher lately, and he's been playing a lot more in line. In the beginning, first 2 weeks of the season, he was playing like 60-something% of the slots out of the or snaps out of the slot. Over the past 2 weeks, he's been playing 46% as like a wide receiver. The remaining amount was actually coming as a tight end or an inline tight end. So he's been blocking a lot more often. I think that Hawkinson might end up moving to the slot a little bit more with the injuries, or out wide a little bit more often. I think that he could be a focal point in this offense. So this week, I'm going to say yes, but he still is risky. I'm hoping he does something because I got him everywhere.
Agreed.
Stay the course. You drafted him high for a reason. Stay the course.
Yep.
All right. We have Waller or Knox. Guys, we're almost done with this. We're going to get out of here in about 2 minutes. So get your last little questions in. We're going to try and run through these last 4 that we have. Waller or Knox this week. Waller's been making me nervous. Knox has a great matchup, although the Tennessee Titans have been somewhat good up against the tight end position. I'm going to go with the team that I think is going to score more often, and that's going to be Knox, although Waller, it's tough to bench Waller. He just hasn't been great. Derek Carr's been spreading around this entire offense. We just haven't seen him get a ton of targets. I'm going Knox.
If you're looking for upside, Knox.
Waller.
All right.
I'll play Waller. I'll still play Waller. You're going to have to do a lot more than that for me to believe in Knox over Waller. It's
a lot. It's a big jump, but I think Knox is actually better this year. I think he's ranked above.
I wouldn't, yeah. I wouldn't trade Waller for Knox, right? I'm not going to play.
I think we already answered this one, didn't we?
I think we did.
Yep.
I think you guys picked Pitts and Lockett, and I picked Mike Williams and Pittman.
Yeah. Yep. All right. We got Thielen or AJ Brown.
AJ Brown.
AJ Brown.
I guess it's tough. I like Thielen in this matchup and the possibility of touchdowns, but AJ Brown, good volume. I'll go AJ Brown. But those are literally I could pick one time and one the other. It really just depends on your situation and if it's PPR or not. All right. Does Wentz go off this week? I think that he has a very good week. I don't know if it's going off, but he's going to throw up probably a couple touchdowns, 250 yards. He's worth the start as a back-end QB1, high-end QB2.
Agreed.
All right. Let's see. Concern Cook doesn't get full workload. Yes, that's one of my concerns about the pick earlier. I still got to start him if I have him. He's a stud. All right, guys. That's going to be it for our questions. Steven, real quick, where can we find you, man?
Yeah, you can find me over on Twitter at Coach Stephen P. Guys, hit me up with anything. More than welcome to help you guys out with any of your fantasy questions.
All right, Thomas, where can we find you?
Oh man, it's getting to be everywhere. So you can find me Friday, Full Tilt Dynasty Podcast. You can find me Tuesday at the Fantasy Walkabout. You can find me later here today with Chasing Points with this gorgeous human being in my top left. You can catch me here pretty much every Sunday morning doing this here show. And hey, you can even go to TikTok at Thomas Tipple FF if you really want more content there. You can do that too. And then of course, always enjoy your Sunday.
Yeah, and you guys can go find me at fantasyintervention.com. Once again, that's fantasyintervention.com. Go to fantasyintervention.com, do /DOCE to find my dose score, dump off containment efficiency score. It's been hot lately. Last week we hit it at a 95% clip, which is insane for any metric to hit at. This week over the Thursday night game, we were 50%. Obviously, with Kenneth Gainwell only seeing 12 snaps, it's very difficult to produce seeing 12 snaps. But unfortunately, that's just part of the game. It did not work, so we're 50-50 so far this week. You guys can also go find me at playerprofiler.com. Once again, that's playerprofiler.com, right in DFS. Trophysmack.com, where we're doing all sorts of crazy stuff over there. Dynasty Nerds to find my rankings. Dynasty Happy Hour for the podcast on Sunday nights. So, yeah, you guys can find me pretty much anywhere. But, of course, go check me out on Twitter at @FF_intervention. Thank you guys for listening. Appreciate you coming on, Steven and Thomas. And thank you guys for letting us intervene with your fantasy football life.